Welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. Our service today is Holy Curiosity. So, good morning. Good morning. It's good to see you all this morning. I am Reverend Dr. Suzanne, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm delighted to see you here this morning. Our church is a caring, vibrant community dedicated to love and service. If this is your first time here today, we always have a greeter to answer any questions you might have. That person wears a yellow stole, and today it's Nancy Nichols. She's there standing in the back by the door. Thank you, Nancy. And today's usher is Michael O'Connor. We also have an RE volunteer to thank, Taylor Brennan, and our tech volunteer, Barbara Lambiaso. Thank you, Barbara. And our coffee hour hosts, Dan and Mary Beth Griscom. Thank you, everyone, for your help. We couldn't do it without you. Today's theme is curiosity, so I will start by being curious, asking a question. Why does our gathering look different today from most Sundays? Oh, Dan!
It's Sunday.
Yeah, that's true. Usually during the week there are no people in here, so that does look different. Why is today different from other Sundays? Ren. That's right, there's not that many people. And do you know why there's not that many people? Who knows why? Mary Beth. Joe? Joe? The women are away. Yeah, our Cape Cod retreat is happening right now, and so there's a lot of folks down there this weekend. And we have two Joes here, which is really nice. I just noticed that. Welcome, Joe. So today is a little bit different, but we'll still have a lovely church service. I just have a few announcements to make before we get started proper. Circle suppers are back. These are dinners for 7 to 9 members and friends in our members' homes. And the deadline to sign up is today. I'm looking at Eric. Will there be someone in coffee hour to help folks sign up? Eric, there's Eric right there if you still would like to sign up for circle suppers. Hello, come on in. Those are happening next Saturday, May 9th. We're also getting ready for our summer break when we don't have these formal services, but we do get together on some Sundays for fun activities. And this year, our ministerial intern, Rhea, will be organizing them for us. So if you have an idea, gathering that you'd like to lead, please see Rhea today and look for a sign up in this week's midweek update. And Randall, our clerk of the board, has another announcement that she would like to make. Come on up, Randall. Thank you.
I'm sure this will take you by complete and utter surprise, but I'm here to remind everybody about the upcoming annual meeting of the Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church on Wednesday, May 20th at 7 p.m., both in person here in the sanctuary and online. And we will review reports from officers and committees, and voting members will vote on nominees for leadership positions and on next year's church budget. If you have questions about your eligibility to vote, please contact our collector, Wendy Mastronardi, who is very likely on Cape Cod as we speak. The annual report will be available for review before the meeting, and watch for announcements on how to access it. Please, we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Randall. And now one last announcement from our board president, Liz Folzer, about Molly Hurd. So Molly, would you come up too, please? Now, as you know, we had our membership Sunday a few weeks ago, and where we welcomed in new members, and we celebrated the anniversaries of longer-term members. And Molly, who has signed the book, couldn't be here that day. So here's Liz to welcome her.
Welcome, Molly. So I'll just tell you a little bit about Molly. She grew up in China and then settled in Western Massachusetts for college and never left. She moved to Melrose in September of 2024. She says she grew up Episcopalian, sorta, but mostly a-religious. And she came to MUUC because she was looking for community and purpose in the wake of the 2024 election. Molly is excited to find ways that her skills and interests can help MUUC. She's deeply passionate about ecology, permaculture, native plant gardening, insect ecology, etc. We have some like minds here too, as well. And you're a librarian. Of course, she loves to read and also loves to hike in the fells and spend time in her garden. She has said, the more time I can spend with my hands in the earth, the happier I am. We're so thrilled to have you with us. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you. Welcome. Hooray for Molly. Oh, let's see. So now is the moment where I tell you about our order of service. If you want to follow along, we have an electronic order of service. If you point your phone's camera at this QR code, it will take you to a page on our website. It's the worship box. If you hit the More button that takes you there, scroll down. So now is the moment where we say hello to one another. If you would turn to someone else in your pew, in front of you or behind you, and say, hi there, how are you doing? Thanks for coming today. And now I call us to worship this morning with a reading that is dear to many, many people's hearts. It's from Rainier Maria Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet. He writes, be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers, which could not be given to you now because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answers. Come, let us worship together. Now we light the symbol of our faith, the flaming chalice. Here to light it for us this morning is Nancy Nichols, who's our head greeter and a member of our membership team. Thank you, Nancy.
I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join me in reciting our MUUC mission. At MUUC, we nurture and challenge ourselves to deeper understanding, meaning, and purpose. We gather through worship, music, lifelong learning, and caring ministries to build a vibrant, compassionate, and growing MUUC community. We inspire spiritual growth to heal hearts and to support each other. We give generously of our time, talents, and resources at MUUC and beyond, energized by our contributions and grateful for those of others. We transform lives and communities beyond our walls through our own efforts and in partnership with others in the service of social and environmental justice.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks, everybody. If you would please remain standing and join in our opening hymn, which is number 123 in the gray hymnal, Spirit of Life. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning. My name is Rhea Brownbright. My pronouns are they, them, and I am your Director of Lifespan Religious Education and Ministerial Intern. Now, today's story comes from the Zen Buddhist tradition. Does anyone know what Zen Buddhism is? Would anyone like to tell me about it briefly? It's okay, I have an explanation. Zen is one of the many, many forms of Buddhism that is unique in its own right. This religious tradition originally comes to us from China. It focuses on personal experience through meditation in the hopes of enlightenment. It encourages this idea of non-attachment, which means not holding on to things that have happened in life. And I think we all know that's really hard, right? And one of the important parts of Zen Buddhism is the relationship between teacher and student. Because the teacher passes on the lineage of wisdom. They pass down the stories and the knowledge that they have gained through their life. So today's story, when I say Zen master, that is the teacher. And when I say scholar, that is the student. So there was once a very wise and good Zen master. People traveled some great distances to learn from them, and they were just known as one of the best teachers that were ever existed. And on this particular day, a scholar came to visit the master and said, "I have come to learn from you about the world." But soon, it became obvious that the scholar had thought they already knew everything about the world, that they had nothing more to learn and want to show off their knowledge to the teacher. They interrupted the master repeatedly with their own stories and failed to listen deeply to what the master had to say. They made statements and they asked no questions. So the master calmly suggested they should have tea. Would someone mind holding the teacup and maybe being okay with getting their hand wet? Here, hold it over the bowl. Very good, thank you. So the master poured their guest a cup. And the cup was full, but the master didn't stop. They kept pouring till the cup overflowed on the table, onto the floor, and finally onto the scholar's robes. The scholar cried, "Stop! Can't you see that it is already full? Don't you see that?" "Exactly," the Zen master replied with a smile. "You are like this cup." Here, I can take it. "So full of your own opinions that nothing more will fit in it. How can I teach you unless you first empty your cup?" Now, what did y'all think about that story? What is this idea about emptying the cup about? Anyone have any thoughts? Yeah, Mary Beth. There's always room to learn something new. That's so, what? There should be, yeah. Yeah. If you have your own view and strong opinions, then you can't be taught otherwise. Yeah, Molly. You have to make space in your own mind for new ideas, yeah. And you have to make space for questions, right? Because none of us know everything about the world already. So with that, we're going to head downstairs. We're going to test something the kids have been working on the past few weeks. And maybe you'll get to see what it is on RE Sunday.
Every Sunday after the story, When our children go downstairs, we create together a time of quiet meditation. It's a moment for each of us to connect with our inner selves, our highest ideals, our own sense of the divine. Let's begin this time together by settling into our seats, feeling our feet connecting us with the earth, breathing deeply and relaxing. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. During this meditation time, first we'll join in our centering song, then we'll sit for a time of shared quiet and reflection. Then we will speak to one another of our joys and sorrows, and I will lead us in a prayer. Our worship theme for the month of May is Reawakening Curiosity, and our centering song for the month is From All the Fret and Fever of the Day, which is number 90 in the gray hymnal. Please remain seated and join in the song as you like. The lyrics will appear here on the screen. Let the song gently guide you into our time of shared quiet. It's our tradition here every Sunday to speak to one another about our joys and our sorrows. While we don't share announcements here, we can talk to one another about how the events of the day or the week have affected us personally. So I invite first anyone who has a sorrow to share to come forward and speak from the mic so everyone can hear you and see you. I invite anyone watching on Zoom to go ahead and type a sorrow into the chat box, and I will read them aloud. So, Michael, if you would go ahead and light the other candle for the joys that were shared this morning and the joys that remain quietly in our hearts. May the candle be for us a reminder to feel and express our gratitude for the many, many blessings in our lives. If you would please, as it feels comfortable, please join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. We humans come into this world so tiny, unguarded, vulnerable, with only our instincts to guide us. One instinct so powerful dominates childhood: curiosity, the drive to know who, what if, how. And the questions fuel our play. Joyfully we discover the world around us. As we age, though, we can get filled up with what we call answers, and the questions lose their traction, and with them at times we can lose our sense of wonder. Is there a place in your life today that is hurting? Is there a moment your mind keeps replaying? What if we could shift it gently with a question? Why did that happen? Why did that person say that thing? What if there's more to it that I don't know? What if there's another way? Today, just for this hour, let us discover once again that there's more to discover. Let the joy of curiosity bubble up within us. Let our old answers give way to new questions. Let us, for this hour, live the questions, love the questions. Amen.
Our church is self-funded, supported by your generous annual pledge. You may also give to our weekly collection, which we split every month with a worthy group via our Giving Beyond Our Walls program. Remote folks can donate using the orange button at the top right corner of our homepage at melroseuu.org. In honor of RE Sunday on May 17th, this month's GBOW was chosen by our Sunday morning religious ed kids. They selected an organization called Kids in Need of Defense, or KIND. KIND is an organization that advocates for children's rights and tries to ensure that no child goes to immigration court without legal representation. Half of our collection plate this month will go to KIND. I'd like to introduce my musical partner this morning, my friend Rosie Samter. And for our offertory selection today, we're going to play the beautiful Ashokan Farewell by Jay Unger.
Thank you. What a treat. I want to start my sermon today with a word about Velcro. That might seem a little odd. This is a famous story, so you may have heard it before, but that's okay. Maybe this time it will spark new questions in your mind. In 1948, a Swiss engineer named Georges de Mestral went for a walk in the woods with his dog. When he got home, as many dog walkers and hikers have done, he found burrs stuck to his clothes and stuck in his dog's fur. Now, I think many of us would have responded to this with a few choice words and a good brushing, maybe some scissors, maybe an apology to the dog. But de Mestral got curious. He wondered, why do these things stick so well? So he put one of the burrs under a microscope, and he saw that it was covered with tiny hooks. And these hooks caught on the loops in the fabric and the fur. Hook and loop, he saw in the microscope. Eventually, after years of experimenting, that little irritating walk in the woods evolved to become what we know today as Velcro, that's the brand name. The generic name is hook and loop fastener. What I like about this story is not just that he invented something useful, it's that his curiosity began with irritation, with annoyance. Something clingy and inconvenient and hard to remove got stuck to him, and instead of just saying, how do I get this thing off me, he asked, how does it work? Why is it so darn sticky? And that's a different kind of question. And a different kind of question can open up a different kind of world. As I mentioned this morning, our worship theme is curiosity. And because this is the first Sunday of the month, I want to begin broadly with this theme. Not with every kind of curiosity, because there are so many. There's scientific curiosity, artistic curiosity, spiritual curiosity, relational curiosity, moral curiosity, dangerous curiosity, and many more. We will not get to all of them today. But today I want to talk about questions, because curiosity often begins with a question. Sometimes the question is spoken out loud. Sometimes it's only felt in the body. A leaning forward, a pause, a little opening of attention. Sometimes curiosity begins with delight. Sometimes it begins with confusion. Sometimes it begins with pain. Sometimes, apparently, it begins with burrs in your dog's fur. The point is, the questions that we ask matter. They matter because they shape what we notice. They shape what we hear. They shape what kind of answer can arrive. Krista Tippett, the host of On Being, has written beautifully about this. She says, a question is a mighty form of words. And she says that questions tend to call forth answers in their own likeness. You know, if someone asks you a combative question, it's very hard not to give them a combative answer. If someone asks you a suspicious question, your defenses go up before you even know what you're going to say. Why did you do that? What were you thinking? Do you really believe that? How could you? These are not bad questions. Sometimes they're necessary. Sometimes we need accountability. Sometimes we need to find truth. But you can feel what happens in your body when a question arrives already loaded down with judgment. The shoulders tighten, the jaw sets, the mind starts gathering evidence for the defense. And then there are other questions, such as, what happened? Can you help me understand? What am I missing? What was that like for you? What do you need now? What do we love enough to protect? those questions land differently. They don't solve everything. They don't erase harm. They don't make hard conversations easy, but they open a little space where something else might happen. A generous question does not guarantee a generous answer, but it makes enough space for actual listening to take place. The author Parker Palmer tells a story about a question he carried as he entered into his 70s. The question seemed wise enough at first. He was asking himself, what do I want to let go of? And what do I want to hang on to? Sounds like a reasonable question, especially in a season of aging or change. What do I release? What do I keep? But the more Palmer lived with the question, the more uneasy he felt about it. Something seemed wrong. So he brought the question to his friends, and over time he felt the question changing. It became, what do I want to let go of? And what do I want to give myself to? It's a small change, just a few words, but it changes the whole tone of the question. What do I want to hang on to has a clenched feeling to it. It sounds a little frightened. I can feel my hands closing around it. But what do I want to give myself to opens a window. It points toward devotion, toward purpose, toward love. Same life, different question, and it points down a different road. When he tells that story, Palmer usually starts with the Rilke reading I used this morning as our call to worship, the one about living the questions. Palmer had to live with this question for a while, months, before he began to see that it wasn't quite the right question for him now. Only by living the question could he begin to see that phrasing it differently could open up a new space, a new answer. Living with questions helps us to discover that new questions can work better. A family might be living inside the question, who's to blame? But it might be more generous to ask, what would love require of us now? A congregation might be living inside the question, why aren't things the way they used to be? When it might be more helpful to ask, what are we called to become? A country may be living inside the question, who belongs, or who should we fear? But it might be more helpful and more generous to ask, how do we repair what has been broken? The questions matter. They make the roads. Now, I want to be careful here because I don't think curiosity means we never judge. I don't think curiosity means we pretend not to know what we know. There are times when judgment is necessary. There are times when we must say, this is wrong, this is harmful, this must stop. Curiosity is not moral mush. It's not an excuse to sit comfortably in the middle of everything forever, stroking our chins while the house burns. But without curiosity, our judgment can become too easy, too fast, too satisfying. Without curiosity, we stop seeing people and start seeing categories: enemy, fool, problem, threat, burden, lost cause. Curiosity slows that story down. It asks for more information, more nuance, more perspective. We may still need the boundary, but if we can stay curious long enough to see the person or the pattern or the system more fully, then our response could become wiser. Temple Grandin gives us a powerful example of just this. Grandin is a person with autism, and she has spent much of her life helping people understand how different nervous systems perceive the world. She's also famous for transforming livestock handling systems. She did that by becoming curious about what the animals were actually experiencing. Where other people saw stubborn cattle, Temple Grandin saw animals responding to shadows, reflections, dangling chains, sudden movements, sharp angles confusing light. She noticed what other people had stopped noticing. Her question was not simply, how do we force these animals through the system? Her question was more, what does the world look like and feel like from inside those bodies? And that question changed the design. It reduced fear. It made the system more humane. I find that moving because it shows us that curiosity is not just an intellectual virtue. It can be an act of imaginative compassion. It asks, what's the world like from where you're sitting? What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? What is your body bracing against that I may not even have noticed? It's a question for animal handling systems, sure, but also for marriages, for parenting, for church committees, for politics. For every moment when we are tempted to say, why don't they just move? Before we have asked, what shadows, noises, fears, histories, wounds might be blocking the way? Again, it doesn't remove accountability, but it deepens responsibility. This is why curiosity takes courage, because it might just change us. If I become curious about someone I have already dismissed, I may have to soften. If I become curious about a tradition I inherited, I might have to sort through what is jewel and what is junk. If I become curious about my own anger, I may have to feel the grief underneath it. If I become curious about the history of this country, or this town, or this congregation, I may discover responsibilities I did not know I had. Curiosity is not always fun. Sometimes it's the beginning of repentance or repair. Sometimes it's the beginning of freedom. In his book, A More Beautiful Question, the business strategist Warren Berger challenges innovators to reframe their questions. In a world where information streams at us from all angles 24/7, questions become far more important than answers. In a world where search engines and artificial intelligence can supply us endlessly with answers, the ability to formulate better and better questions becomes the most important skill. That's what Berger says in his book. And then he asked a question that stopped me in my tracks. He asked, in place of mission statements, what if we used mission questions? For example, he said there was a company that had the mission statement, we make the world better through robotics. But what if they changed it to, how might we make the world better through robotics? Using a mission question, says Berger, acknowledges room for possibility, for change and adaptability. Using the phrase, how might we, signals that our minds are open to new pathways. So with that in mind, I bring us to the MUUC mission statement, which I asked Nancy to read earlier this morning for our chalice lighting. Now, I'm not suggesting we rewrite it. No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that every once in a while, maybe in our minds, we phrase it as a question and see what happens, and live with that for a little while. What would happen if instead of saying, here, we nurture and challenge ourselves to deeper understanding, meaning, and purpose, and instead we said, how might we nurture and challenge ourselves to deeper understanding, meaning, and purpose? How might we inspire spiritual growth? How might we heal hearts? How might we support each other? How might we transform lives? Do you feel that shift? Just phrasing those statements as questions shifts something inside. For me, it helps me let go of answers I thought I knew, and suddenly there's space for new learning to happen, new ideas to come. it feels like I'm reawakening curiosity. And that's our theme for this month. So what about you? How will you reawaken your own curiosity this month? I have an invitation, a suggestion. What if you choose one question to live with through the month of May? Just one. Maybe your question is about another person. What am I not understanding about them? Maybe it's about yourself. What is my body trying to tell me? Maybe it's about this church. What am I ready to give myself to here? Maybe your question is about the larger world. What is love asking me to pay attention to in this season? So I invite you to let a question rise within you and then carry it around. Let it ride with you in your car. Let it sit with you at breakfast. Let it walk with you down the street. Let it interrupt you when you are judging too quickly. Let it annoy you a little, the way a burr stuck in your clothes or in your hair might annoy you, until you finally look closer and see how it works. A curious congregation is not a congregation without values. It's a congregation willing to be changed by its values, willing to ask whether our lives match our language, willing to ask better questions of ourselves, each other, and the world. That's the value of a practice of curiosity. So this month, let us practice wonder, let us practice humility, let us practice asking before assuming. Let the world be more mysterious than our first opinion about it. And maybe if we're lucky, some small irritation, some thing will get stuck in the fabric of our lives and become an opening into something more. May we, in May, have the courage to look closer. May we ask questions generous enough to grow into. And may we live our way together into better answers. Amen. Please rise, if you would, in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, which is We Laugh, We Cry, number 134? No, 354, 354. And we're only singing verses 1 and 4 today. please remain standing and join with me in the chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. Thank you for gathering with us today, and thank you for the special music. After a brief, well, not brief, why do I always say that? After a lovely postlude from Rosie and Tom, please join us in Parish Hall at the next big room that way for coffee and refreshments. Thank you for gathering with us today, and happy Sunday.